And at that moment, it was like my holy smokes moment, but also my aha moment. And kind of the thought process was the space needs a more stable collateral. And how can someone introduce stable collateral that exists outside of like a bank account to DeFi? And that kind of led us into RAAC, or Regnum Aurum Acquisition Corp, today.
Hello, everybody, and I'm back. Today, I'm here with Kevin, and Kevin is working on a project which is very cool if you are into finance, Curve, and if you are into real-world assets. But it might be a project you've never heard of, actually, even though they tokenized a lot of things in terms of value. And we will talk about it, and we will obviously talk about how Kevin got to where he is right now. So, Kevin, welcome.
Hey, Pete. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Wonderful. Lovely to have you. And let's start with the obvious first question always. How did you get to crypto and when was it?
Yeah, definitely my favorite question to answer. I started back in 2017. I come from a background of accounting and finance. I was a third year student at the time, and I had to write about a fintech, like a financial technology for a third year finance course. And the first topic on the list was AI. And it said that AI would replace 30% of corporate audits by the year 2030. And like, ooh, that doesn't sound like a great value proposition as someone studying to be an accountant.
Great career ahead.
Yeah. So that topic didn't quite interest me at the time, although I find it much more relevant today. I got super far down the list to be and saw Bitcoin. Basically read the one-liner and picked it as my topic, wrote a whole paper about it, and that's kind of what really sparked the initial interest.
Awesome. Okay. And it was relatively early. So what was the journey then, through the Web3 world towards founding the Regnum Aurum?
Yeah, I basically was obviously a student at the time. And after writing that paper, totally dove in, made my first purchase like it must have been like December 6th. And I was flying high at the time. Everything was pumping and everything came to a halt like January 6th or maybe like 8th, around there is when the market crashed. And basically I was just too dumb to quit. And my mom had told me a relative of mine was working at an exchange. So I basically power dialed him like 20 times a day until he picked up. And he gave me some advice and kind of went about my way. And then a little bit later, he messaged me saying, "Hey, are you still like into the crypto space?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And I guess he took that as a sign. So he basically was like, "Hey, I'm building a mining facility for a client." So it was a medium scale GPU mining facility. So helped build and manage that for a number of years. Moonlighted at the exchange that he worked at doing KYC and AML. It was just a small local exchange, so nothing too crazy. And then started like an index fund for family and friends. So this was like 2017. So very much DeFi was not as active as it was, and some time progressed, and I basically went to who he became my partner at the time, and I basically said, "Hey, like there's a way to earn yield on your crypto. Like we should deploy some of the index there." So we ended up transitioning into yield farming. So DeFi summer happened.
Okay.
Managed this index fund. Wasn't a huge number, but basically that's where I built up the bulk of my experience. And so 2020 DeFi summer happened, and then haven't looked back. So been in the space full time since then. And as a farmer, I kind of gravitated towards stablecoins just due to, not going to say no volatility, but a lot less volatility compared to assets like Bitcoin or ETH. So my preferred method of interacting with the DeFi space was depositing stablecoins and earning interest on those stablecoins, which works really well.
Conservative.
Until we get to March 2023. And I'm sure you know USDC depeg due to the Silicon Valley Bank crisis, right? So Yeah, that was a big shock to the market, and it wasn't just USDC that got affected.
Right.
It caused a ripple effect across all stablecoins and assets. So you had depegs upwards and downwards. It was a and at that moment, it was like my holy smokes moment, but also my aha moment. And
Uh-huh.
kind of the thought process was the space needs a more stable collateral. And how can someone introduce stable collateral that exists outside of like a bank account to DeFi? And that kind of led us into RAAC, or Regnum Aurum Acquisition Corp, today.
Okay, well, that's a DeFi heavy journey, I would say, but yeah, okay, pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool. It's quite unique. I feel like just because I don't have like I didn't have much TradFi experience because I kind of dropped the crypto accountant. I dropped the accounting in the crypto accountant
Right.
2020 when DeFi summer went off.
Yeah.
So basically, not someone who has like extensive TradFi experience, and neither have I worked for a DeFi or crypto company specifically preceding this. So really, just a power user of the tech that spotted an opportunity and kind of a need within the market.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But as I said, it's actually a very impressive journey. So, how did the RAC actually started? Are you the sole co-founder or founder? There's more people. And how did you guys actually decide to go about it? Because, I think even, 20, probably from the DeFi summer in 2020, 2021, RWAs are sort of a big thing. Everybody was talking about it, but very few people were doing anything with it.
Yeah, no, totally. And so I am the sole founder of RAAC. We are a very small team. There's 7 of us. We
Hmm.
like to stay lean and mean and rely on smart contracts to do what they do and remove overhead and the need for a lot of hands-on, well, with the funds, obviously.
The right way.
So basically, yeah, it's all about bringing like external dollar denominated yield on chain for us. That was kind of the big driver in this, just due to the fact that DeFi rewards. So when you earn interest in DeFi, it's in crypto, so it
Hmm.
tends to move up and down with markets. So basically, that was the goal: is how do you bring this fresh capital from outside crypto markets back into crypto. And I think that's how we started this journey. And
Hmm.
that was the really big difference between kind of us and other real world asset protocols. Because what we are doing is we are building for what the market is and not what we wish it was. And what do I mean by that? Is people, the average retail user, can barely buy like Ethereum, or they're going into meme coins, which is pure gambling. The sophisticated financial products that do exist within DeFi are going to be the last to be appreciated, just due to the how advanced you have to be to use them. So it really was about designing a product that fits the current bill. I'm sure you saw the typical cliche line in my very humble opinion, and it's also a great goal, is onboarding the next billion users, right? That's always everyone's.
Yeah.
Whereas we always said, how do we onboard the next $100 billion? So that's how we approached
Okay.
it.
Yeah, probably smarter way, I guess, because $100 billion can be a one company.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, easier.
That's also how I kind of that's how we positioned ourselves and how we saw the kind of evolution between like the merge of traditional finance and decentralized finance
Hmm.
was always that, just due to the skill gap in the UX experience that the average person faces when using DeFi applications, it's complicated. So our thought was always DeFi, then to institutions. Institutions would then feed it to their consumers,
Right.
right? So it would be using the DeFi and a blockchain infrastructure on the back end, but it's wrapped all pretty and put in front of the user where they're not even thinking about it. And that's what we're seeing, right? The flood of capital hasn't come from retail, it's come from institutions.
Yep.
in the last recent months, especially in the RWA sector, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You're gonna have a single actor, retail actor loading a property up versus a REIT loading 2,000 properties, right? You just can't compete with that size.
Yeah.
And it's much easier and efficient to onboard an institution versus 2,000 individuals.
Yeah. Absolutely. And honestly, it's probably, I guess a lot of people knew that institutions are the only way forward. It's just that probably not many people in Web3 would admit that they like to deal with institutions. I think it sort of took, it took time and maybe even sort of new type of crypto entrepreneur, I would say, to admit that, we can build the tech and someone else can actually bring the users. How
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
done.
No, 100%. And I think like when you look at it versus like where we are compared to when I started in 2017, we are where the industry begged to be in 2017. When we're like, if they just start loading 1% of their portfolio into Bitcoin, this will happen. That was always the big
Yeah, that was
tagline,
always the
right?
story.
And I think the big shift that I personally feel I saw was admittance that blockchain technology could improve traditional finance, but it was always, I think, looked through the lens of private blockchains. Whereas now you see these institutions deploying to public, like Ethereum, right? You look at the
Right.
Biddle fund with
Yeah.
BlackRock, they're tokenizing money market funds. They're backing a stable coin, which is pegged to the US dollar. And then they've created liquidity pools in DeFi. So you
Yeah.
have these institutions using public blockchains and interacting with decentralized projects like Aave, Morpho, Curve Finance, Convex. So it's really cool to see.
True, true. Yeah, okay. So I think we primed everybody, and everybody is now really curious what RAAC is actually doing. So just, give us a short pitch of what you guys are doing in Regnum Aurum.
Yeah, for sure. In kind of like a 40,000 foot overview, highest level, what we're doing is taking traditional assets such as gold mines, which have gold reserves in ground, and what we're doing is tokenizing them and using them to back a stable coin. And what we're doing is creating a system or a home for these stable coins because anyone can tokenize an asset, but you need liquidity on the other side. So at a high level, RAAC is a protocol that allows real world asset owners to bring their assets. We would mint a stable coin backed by the asset and earn interest for them. So you can have a gold mine in production or pre-production, mint a stable coin, which allows them to turn no revenue pre-production asset yield generating. They can use that to basically finance their operations as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're able to do is access financing way cheaper. Globally, financing for precious metals has dried up in favor of rare earth metals. So
Mm-hmm.
there's been a liquidity crunch globally. So this is a solution in one aspect. And what's really unique about RAAC is it's templatable across different asset classes. So in this scenario, you have a gold mine, but you could have an oil field tomorrow or a
Mm-hmm.
data center the next day. The sky's the limit, right? In terms of
I
what
see.
you can use, as long as the collateral is can be priced accurately and there's some like a somewhat of a liquid market and stable, then it can potentially be used. So what we do is mint these stable coins, provide a home, and then we take the yield that's generated from these real world assets and deploy them back to our system. So for providing liquidity or depositing your stable coins to RAAC, you're basically earning layered rewards. You're earning Curve rewards because we're built on top of Curve Finance.
Okay.
You earn Convex rewards. You earn RAAC rewards. You earn the natural swap fees of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also earn real world yield generated by the assets that are within the ecosystem. So
Okay. Wow.
it's a multi-tiered approach. And the point of it is to provide sustainable, predictable, and quality yield.
I see. Okay, so I think one of the hot topics for sure is it's like how to price the asset. Who is in charge of that?
Yeah, no, awesome question. So let's take the gold mine, for example, that's tokenizing the verified gold reserves. So it would go through an independent audit. So it gets verified by a big four accounting firm. And then it also goes through monthly attestations. So
Okay.
you have an auditor come in, say there's this much inventory of, let's say, stage zero gold, stage one gold, stage three gold. And based on the inventory levels, you can calculate a value. So the auditors will verify that. It goes to a Chainlink POR, proof of reserves. It gets verified, brought on chain. And this is all done through our partner, Instruxy. So RAAC in this system is the real world asset utility, but
Hmm.
the real world assets actually get tokenized and brought on chain by our partners.
Right. That's what I thought. It's just I think most people hear it for the first time have kind of problem to imagine how the asset gets from like real world thing you can see kind of you get a paper about how it gets tokenized, what exactly that means. So I think this sort of makes it a little bit more real that there are different partners doing different steps in the whole process, and you guys are the sort of the initial reason for it, but also the final step of making it perpetual on chain.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the thing is the most, I think, wonderful thing about the crypto space is it's programmable money. The composability is just unmatched. The way you can plug and play into different protocols and projects is just unmatched. And that's really what allows this to happen. Very much so, we stay in our lane. We know our lane and stay in it, right? We are the DeFi liquidity guys. And
Right.
that's why we partner with Instruxy, whose two co-founders, one of them was a Chainlink dev previously. So you
Hmm.
can see how tokenizing real world assets and bringing that data on chain makes sense. And the other co-founder was an EY executive on the tech side for about 25 years. So very strong on kind of the real world asset portion. So really, it's a match made in heaven. We're also both part of the Chainlink build program. So RAAC is actually backed by Chainlink as well.
Hmm.
So really harnessing the strongest tech in the space for sure.
Okay. So you mentioned gold mines. What type of assets you are guys focusing on right now? Is it only gold or is it more? It's
Yeah,
like I really
it'll
don't
be
know.
real estate and gold to start.
Real estate. I see. Okay.
And what we'll do is launch the gold back stablecoin,
Hmm.
make sure that's running all smoothly, and then integrate a real estate backed stablecoin as well. That's
Okay.
kind of the two assets that we're looking to initially onboard in volume.
Hmm. Nice. How old is RAAC actually?
Yeah, so it really did morph like after the March 2023, but I
Uh-huh.
really started working on RAAC as a company maybe 2022 or something like that, and then it dramatically
Okay.
shifted March 2023. So I would say full year March 2023.
Okay. So basically 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Part of the reason is we feel that if like the transition that crypto and DeFi is seen is you need sustainable business models, right? If you're not generating
Right.
revenue, you're dead in
Yeah.
the water. And we feel if you have a real business model that's not built on a narrative or hype, you can take the time to put all the pieces in place. So that's what we've really looked to do.
Hmm.
We found our product market fit before we've launched. We found all our customers. And we've ended up in a really unique position where we are our own supply and demand, in a sense, due to the fact that as we onboard real world asset owners, they are contractually obligated to participate within the RAAC ecosystem. So
Right.
whereas most DeFi protocols rely on game theory and social coordination, we
Yep.
rely purely on contractual obligations to make our system go. So
Nice.
that's a big difference in why we took our time as well.
Oh yeah, it's actually refreshing to hear. I had a recently a guest, Jamie. He got some IP patent for something in like NFT space, but he was in my probably 50 episodes talking to different founders. He was the first one who actually brought up real world contractual obligations, that this is what we are betting on. We want to use the tech, but we are betting on the IP. And so it's kind of the same, like you are saying, well, we want the tech, but we are betting on real contracts rather than social game theory and staking and stuff. So that's great.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, very,
does
very
it
much.
mean does it mean that the technology and basically all parts of the DeFi ecosystem you guys are using were kind of ready in 2022, 2023? Or is there anything new which popped out recently which you are using?
I wouldn't say particularly anything super new. We to be honest, like it's not like RAAC reinvented the wheel. What we really
Sure.
did in theory is reorganize really strong mechanics that we see exist in DeFi today, and layered in external dollar denominated yield. So we're at its heart, and not to be too complicated, RAAC is a real world asset liquidity infrastructure built on top of Curve finance. So as the Curve tech stack it improves, we will utilize that as it
Hmm.
goes. So yeah, I guess you could say things definitely have changed, but it hasn't changed our core problem.
I see. Okay. And so maybe, silly question, but I assume that most of the work you guys are doing now is basically USD denominated, but it could work for any currency, right? If like Europeans decide they want to, whatever, real world assets that they want to put on chain, you guys would be able to do the stablecoin denominated in any currency.
Yes, I think that is a super awesome question that you brought up. It is applicable to basically any currency if you really wanted. But something to think about is how stablecoins are dominated by USD
Yep.
essentially. I think as the market grows and DeFi grows, there'll be a need for more stable coins denominated in other currencies. And the reason I really like that is because it goes down the path of on-chain Forex,
Right.
right? If you look at Forex as a whole, you I think there's, don't shoot me anyone, over $1 trillion in volume per day, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
which is huge, right? And
Yep.
if you look at a product and a protocol or a financial application like Curve Finance, that's exactly what it's geared for. So that will happen in my mind as the market grows. The need for other denominated currencies will grow, and that's also what RAAC's betting on, right? We're betting on the Curve ecosystem, and that's what the Curve ecosystem is betting on as well.
So I'm looking here at some stats and it says 7.5 trillion per
There
day.
you go. Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll
So
take that.
huge volumes, right? So look at that. There's definitely a need, right? If you see that volume being processed traditionally, it can be processed on chain.
Cool. Yeah, I'm asking because I think like most people, I was sort of oblivious of other currencies until relatively recently, maybe a year, 18 months ago. And then I spoke with a friend of mine who is now heading the Swiss franc stablecoin association for Frankencoin. And he showed me some really nice research and papers which favor, of course, Swiss franc. But the truth is, Swiss franc is kind of a unique currency in a sense that it appreciates against dollar over time. So if you want to use some stable which potentially is a gaining value over most other currencies, this is a good choice. And I had no idea. So that's why now I'm curious about different currencies, and I realized there are a number of them popping out. Of course, the volume is like negligible to anything to USD, but it's coming up.
Yeah, coming up exactly. When you look at those Forex numbers, and I hate to be that guy that goes, if you capture 1% of that, but eventually the
Don't go
market
there.
will, right? Eventually the market will, in my opinion, and you'll see that transition and the need for deeper liquidity in different stable coins. That's something RAAC would love to explore in the future. Something we wouldn't explore right now due to the fact that we really believe in having a customer base before we launch our product. Rather, I mean, it's standard business practice, right? But rather than launching in saying, here's the tech and now finding users, because when you look at real world assets, the scale and size is just monstrous compared to DeFi. DeFi is a drop in the bucket. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Real estate alone is a $380 trillion market globally,
Right.
right? So I think to also scale how fast you could potentially onboard assets, you could basically back stablecoins and other currencies and go after like an on-chain forex. So rather than putting $10 billion of USD into the stablecoin market right now, maybe you do one third Japanese yen, one third one third USD, and then people can arbitrage between the three. So
Right.
so yeah, so definitely on my mind. It's on the Curve ecosystem's mind, and I think it's coming to fruition before our eyes, right? Just like how in 2017 we asked for the 1% of the portfolio and talked about how blockchain will be a black hole for all the assets and titles, deeds, all that stuff. It's happening, right? Look at
Yeah.
New Jersey just signed with Avalanche to put the deeds on chain. I think it's like 240 billion,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
right?
heard. I'm laughing about the term you use, the black hole, because it often becomes a black hole for someone's money. But yeah,
Yeah, different.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
depends on the perspective. Depends on
It
who you talk
depends.
to.
I guess it depends which hole you just catch. But yeah, definitely. Okay, so at what stage you are guys right now with RAAC? So you have testnet live or
Yep.
yeah?
So
Okay.
so testnet right now, aiming for Q3 launch is our intended launch. So
Mhm.
coming soon, we'll be deploying our beta. Intended timeline is next month as well.
I see.
So very soon. So it's been, like I said, we've been building kind of in the dark for quite a while, putting all the pieces in place. So really it's just wrapping up a few things on our end and getting the system going with some guardrails up.
Mhm.
Once we're satisfied, we'll lift them up and do a full scale launch.
Okay. Is there anything like ordinary crypto users can go and do on a testnet, or they should go and do and try, or not really?
Yeah, no. I think we always love people to test out our product. So please come test it out. I do have to put the disclaimer for non-US users. So for non-US users, please come check it out. Leave your thoughts, questions, opinions. Our Discord. Follow us on Twitter. I think it depends on who you are within the space and what your risk appetite is. There's definitely different ways to play within the ecosystem. And my suggestion is if you are in the space and you want to learn and get better, the best thing you can do is interact with as many protocols as you can. I think that's where you build up the experience. People always ask me, like, people always try running before they can walk. You know what I mean? And it's a
Sure.
process, and never rush the process. So I always encourage people to interact with as many protocols as they can in a safe manner. So yeah, would love
Mhm.
for the audience to come check out RAAC, whether you're an experienced DeFi user or you're someone brand new. We really want it to be a protocol for everyone.
Okay, love that. Is there any question which I forgot to ask and I should? You that topic you wanted to talk about, and we sort of breezed through or never touched on it?
Yeah, no, I think we really at a high level touched on, I feel, a lot of different topics. I feel like at the same time I tried to keep it as high level, but we definitely threw the kitchen sink at people. I would encourage people to also look at the stablecoin market. In my opinion, that is kind of in the words of Sam K of Frax Finance, the next $1 trillion market after Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think we're having all the signs flashing in front of our eyes. You had the Circle IPO that just
Yeah.
went public, and it's been doing well last time I checked. So I think I'll leave the audience with last message, I guess, is it was interesting because it always used to be, the tagline used to be, you can understand it now or be forced to understand it later. And that's where everything's heading right now as well. So whether you're seasoned or not, it's something that the world is transitioning to. And take a look, because there's something for everyone. Whether finance is not your thing, you have so many different, you have decentralized science, right? So if that's your
Right.
thing, then you look into that. It's a general purpose technology, right? I think there's about 20, this is the 28th or 29th, something like that, in the world. So blockchain isn't only financial applications. There's tons of applications for it. And I mean, obviously I'm just so deep in on the DeFi side of things. There's a whole world out there. So although finance may not be your thing, there's probably something in the blockchain space for someone, whatever their interest is.
So you heard it, and very unexpected, sort of last message and wish from someone who is deep in DeFi, general purpose blockchain believer, Kevin. Thank you very much, Kevin. It was great. I definitely will play a little bit with RAAC testnet, and I'm looking forward to see you guys launch into the world.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. It was an absolute pleasure, and thank you to the audience for hearing me babble today. I hope there was something useful for you guys.
I'm pretty sure there was. Go and follow RAAC on X, guys. Follow Kevin. You'll find everything in the show notes. And till next time, have fun.